Yours is off.
There you go. So,
Yep. All right, we're good. Okay. All right, we're going to call this administrative meeting to order. Appreciate everybody being here. We do have two commissioners. As you can tell, they're not here, and they are both in mandatory training in Prattville, I assume. That's usually where the training takes place, so they won't be here. I think they will be back Monday, but Commissioner Herring, you will be out on Monday,
I
correct?
will be, yes, correct.
Okay. All right. So, all right, we're going to move on into our administrative meeting agenda. So the first item is under awards and presentation. That's a recognition second quarter service anniversary. Sherry Garner will be here. Any objection to that item being on the?
No objection.
No.
All right, moving on to the regular agenda, we have the first item is a request to approve the 2022 insolvents, errors, and taxes in litigation and uncollected insolvents and litigations for previous years for financial settlement with the state of Alabama. This is from Ms. Starla Moss, the Revenue Commissioner. This is something that we do or have to do every year. Normal and customary, as Chairman Colbert used to say.
Sure.
Any objection to this item being on the agenda?
No objection.
Item number 2 is a request from the Personnel Board to approve Juneteenth as a county holiday in conjunction with a state holiday schedule. So we have always mirrored the state holiday schedule. So if they take off, we take off. And the primary reason for that is when the state shuts down, most of the county cannot function because it all is tied into the one computer system through Montgomery. So if we chose to be open anyway, everybody would come to the building and they still wouldn't be able to get their tag and wouldn't be able to get business license or driver's license or anything like that. So that's always been our position to take off when the state takes off. So that's what the proposal is here to take off on Juneteenth. Any questions on this item?
No question.
All right. Any objection to this item being on the agenda?
No objection.
Okay. Item number 3 is a request to approve bid for Houston County Safety Communications fiber optic loop. The lowest bidder meeting specs utilizing ARPA funds up to $500,000 and authorize chairman to execute all documents. So a little bit of history with this. We have been looking to do a fiber loop probably for a couple of years now, 3 years. That sounds about right, Major Rafferty. So the initial loop that was sort of designed would definitely be, if we had all the money in the world, that's what we would do. It would be extremely robust. It would be allow for a lot of growth in county government and in data transition or data transactions for years and years. But once we got the cost of that and we figured out, okay, we can't afford to pay that. And so we backed up and we punted. So this is definitely a more limited loop. It does give us the redundancy that we need. Right now, if you can imagine, this is getting a little in the weeds, if everything is along a string of fiber, and you have the admin building here, and let's say you got the jail over here, and you got the sheriff's department in the middle. If something breaks between the sheriff's department and the admin building, well, now the admin building can't communicate with the sheriff's department, can't communicate with the jail, and same way in the other direction. But if you have a loop, everything's in a loop, you have a cut in the fiber, you can still communicate because the data doesn't have to go along a certain path. It can take a different path. So that's the reason for doing this. It certainly allows us to continue operating in the case of when, not if, but when some construction worker digs somewhere where they're not supposed to and breaks our fiber. So any questions about this item? Peter, do you have any comments?
No, sir. You're exactly correct. This fiber loop option is more in line with what the commission was allocating for funds out of ARPA. There will be, there possibly could be a little overage on that because there's a slight cushion that was built in there by the contractor because of the unknown material costs, as we all know, are hard to predict.
Yeah.
But it should come in at or near this number, and so that the general fund will be minimally impacted.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, if we'd have done this 3-4 years ago, it wouldn't be $500,000+, but that's the reality of today. Any questions on this item?
No.
Any no. Any objection to this item being on the agenda?
No objection.
No. Item 4 is a request to authorize expenditures from Emergency Capital Replacement Fund. Tommy Dixon, this is county buildings. I don't know who wants to speak on this item, but I'll allow whoever.
Well, Tommy can speak to the details, but as the chairman may recall, in the annual budget, there is a classification called capital replacement funds that are allocated for the unexpected emergency, for items that come up that were not anticipated or planned. But we do have a county policy that requires that the county buildings manager come before the commission to identify those items that are expended out of that fund, and that's what this item is for your consideration. And Tom, if you would please come up to explain the specific items that we're referring to.
Good morning.
Oh, tap that microphone.
Yes.
Yep, you're good.
So the two things that Mr. Covert was talking about, we had two separate issues down there. And the first one was a leak in the fire suppression line that services McLean Distribution. That 8-inch line was leaking under the fire pump building. So we had to get a contractor to dig out underneath the building and repair that line. So once that line was repaired, the controller to the well was also damaged. And during the process of digging out, the power line got damaged. So those three things are totaling $16,684.34. But that had to be repaired because, you know, it supplies the fire suppression for the distribution center. So that's the first thing that come up. So the second thing is lightning. Believe lightning struck the transfer switch at the wastewater treatment center, and you know that services McLean as well, and then the rest area down on 231 South. All of that comes to the wastewater treatment center. And the transfer switch that switches it over from generator to, to the regular voltage supplied by the utility, that got damaged in a lightning strike, and that had to be repaired. That was $10,097.50. So the total of those things is $26,781.84. But these items there were no way to plan on that because these things just happened. So that's what we're requesting, if you could, consider that come out. So.
Okay.
And just if I can further identify that the total fund that's budgeted is $150,000. That's pretty much typical yearly amount. So of that 150, as Mr. Dixon says, 27-ish thousand so far has been spent, and we just are requesting the commission to approve those expenditures.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this item? All right. Any objection to this item being placed on the agenda?
No objection.
Tommy, would you mind cutting that mic off? Sounds like there's a little bit of feedback. Thank you. Yeah, we'll adjust them. All this stuff's still new, so we'll get there. All right. Excuse me. Item number 5 is a request to approve contract with Gosselin Architecture for architectural work to be performed for Farm Center Arena. So, as you know, we have retained the ownership of the Farm Center, at least the majority ownership, and so it is our intention that as we have stated numerous times, to try to revamp that arena building and get that to where it will be usable for the public again. The building is in a serious state of dilapidation, and we have chosen, at least what is proposed, what is presented to you, is a proposal to contract with Gosselin Architecture for these services. And the reason that, at least I think that this would be a good move, is number one, Mr. Goslin has experience with large projects. He is serving or has served on the Historical Commission, which this, is arguably a historical building. And also, he's a former member of the Farmers Market, who it has been discussed would be hopefully a permanent fixture, a permanent tenant or utilizer of that farm center arena. So I think it kind of checks off a lot of boxes. The agreement that before you that you have reviewed is pretty standard in the architectural industry. So, Mr. Goslin, I don't know if you have any comments you'd like to make. This is certainly important to the commission. And I don't know, I invite you to make any comments you'd like to, or if not, I'll invite the commission to ask any questions or make any comments that they'd like to ask or make.
Yes, thanks for asking me to come in and talk about it. It's what we're presenting to you is a standard architectural services contract. This includes the many engineers that will also be involved. This will include us taking it from the early design stages all the way through construction. It'll stay under my services all the way to the end of construction. The fee structure is in accordance with state guidelines. The Department of Construction Management puts out standard fees, and that's how our fee is derived for this type of project. It's an iconic building, historic building. I talked to an older architect this week that remembers when it was under construction, and
That's
I used
amazing.
to love to go out and watch it. Of course, he went to many events there, but the senior, Mr. Donapro, was the architect on one of his first projects that he did when he was in Dothan, and it was actually patterned after a project he worked on as an intern, Garrett Coliseum in Montgomery. So that structure is still standing. So
Really? Okay, I have to look that up. That's
so,
interesting.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Goslin?
Mr. Chairman, no question from the public.
Any
So how long,
comments?
how long is this contract for to completion?
That's to be determined. The length of time to be determined. Yeah, once
To be determined?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The way you explain it to me is that there's some preliminary work that has to go kind of first. Maybe I'm maybe misstating.
That's
that,
correct.
but
Our first
maybe
step.
talk about the process real quick.
Sure. First steps is we're going to do some investigations about the structural integrity of things. It's already been kind of adapted and repaired in the past, and structural engineer is going to take a close look at that. Currently, we're thinking this is going to be a project of deleting a lot of things, taking a lot of things out to create a bigger, open, kind of more versatile space. And so that we'll start with those investigations, coming back to the commission with, our drawings about what we propose to do. If you want, we'll work with the farmers market about their needs and how to make it a multi-purpose building, not just the host of the farmers market, but other venues and things like that. So we're trying to make it as diverse and universal. But we'll go through that design process. At the end of that, we'll prepare construction drawings, all the technical drawings that'll go out for bid to various contractors. We'll invite contractors being public funding. We'll have to kind of do an open bid for that. We'll receive the bids and select from that, and they'll determine the construction period. I'm expecting probably a 6 to 9 month construction period.
Okay, that's not bad. Now, as part of your fees, you're going to be handling all the bids and all that stuff. So that our staff.
That's a standard service at Architects.
Gotcha.
Overseeing all that and managing the engineers.
Gotcha.
So,
Good.
Mr. Goslin, what is your firm costing the county for this service?
6.6%
Oh,
standard fee of the construction budget. And right now, I don't know if you have that.
I didn't have it. That's why I'm asking.
May I give them the summary?
Yeah.
This is the calculations there.
Gotcha. That's what I want right here.
And but that fee is based on the construction value. So
Construction value.
in-kind services are provided that are of
That's
no
right.
or low cost to the county. As part of a standard agreement, you obviously, because you're directing that work, still have to be
Correct.
compensated.
Yeah, we have to determine that. The value
value, not the necessarily the expense,
Correct, correct.
if that makes sense. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Can we pass that down here when you get?
I've got another.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, perfect. No, I'll see it. Thank you. Y'all can take a, closer look at this. Obviously, this is just to place it on the agenda. If y'all have other questions, I'd invite y'all to call Mr. Goslin, or we can ask him on Monday and make a decision. I mean, this is a big deal, so I'm not trying to encourage you to rush anything. And I don't think Mr. Goslin will want that either.
Right.
All right, if there are no objections, let's place this item on the agenda. All right, thank you, Mr. Goslin. All right, item 6, lost my place here, is a request to approve resolution and application for stormwater grant, road and bridge.
This is a $150,000 grant from AlDOT, and basically administered by ADM. We're applying for it, for Hodgesville Road and Broad Street in Quincy. And, this is, we had the ARCA money we were doing for the storm drainage projects, but this is the $150,000 that AlDOT was giving out to.
Gotcha. So I guess just so I understand, it's $150,000 from AlDOT, but the work is going to take place on county roads, not necessarily on the state
Correct.
road. Okay.
Yes.
So make that clear. Any questions on this item? Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
No. Item number 7 is a request to enter into an interagency cooperative agreement for remediation of solid waste, also road and bridge.
This is a grant. It's kind of like our tire cleanup grant. We get $150,000 for 3 years for our tire cleanup. This is $150,000 for 3 years for dump sites. That Nunley, our sanitation supervisor, has been out looking at dump sites and stayed on public health department. And this is the first project through this agreement that they're starting up. I mean, this program that they're starting up, we're the first ones to get any money or any agreement out of it. So,
Okay.
Mr. Nunley really bird dogged them on this and got this started.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good kudos to him. So
and he has 2 sites already up there
okay.
that they're going to, you have to get these sites pre-approved before you can clean them up.
Gotcha. So this is dump sites. Like I'm thinking back when I was a little boy and had this place on Windmill Road where people in the area would go and just throw out trash and stuff before we had mandatory county
Yes.
garbage pickup.
Yeah.
In the olden
Bridges,
days.
a lot of bridges, people throw trash under bridges, we can clean them up.
I never thought about that, but yeah, I could see that. Any questions on this item?
But it reimburses us labor and equipment and, dump fees and all that. So it's a good problem.
Yeah.
Good problem.
Good. Well, kudos to Mr. Nunley, for sure. Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No.
Item 8 is a request to sell the following items on GovDeals: miscellaneous office equipment. Any questions or discussion on this item?
No.
Any objection to this item going on the agenda? No objection. All right. Do have one person that has requested, we do have one person that has requested privileges of the floor, but I see that he is leaving, so I guess he is not that important. Without no other business, we are adjourned. Thank you.